Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called Wrong Expense Report. I work at a company where the policy is that when you travel, you have to subtract your normal office drive from a drive to a satellite location. And you also have to submit a Google Maps screenshot of the route you took. For example, if you normally drive 10 miles to work, you would subtract that from the 30 miles to the warehouse and thus can only expense 20 miles. However, the Google Maps screenshot would still show 30 miles. Now, the person that did our expenses quit during 2020. My team has done no traveling since the new person started. On top of that, most of my team lives close to the office, where I live about an hour away. Recently, my coworker and I had to do some driving to a bunch of warehouses for hardware upgrades. As I live centrally located in the state, a lot of my drive distances are significantly shorter than if I drove from the head office. I calculated all my drive distance, subtracting what I would normally do to go to the office and turned in the report. I was even cutting one side completely from my original report, as it's half the distance for me versus going to the office. The expense report came out to be around a $100 payment. I got an email today saying that I did it wrong and that all my map distances are different from the distance I put in. I explained the company policy and that everything had been submitted correctly. The person went on to say that my distances were too different from my coworkers. Again, I explained that I don't live near the office but more central to the state. They were having none of it and must have assumed I was putting in the information wrong and explicitly told me, just do it again with everything starting and ending at the main office. Okay, if you insist. We calculated everything and we included the omitted location. I'm now getting closer to $350 in payment. If anyone comes back, I'll just show them the email. The next story is called The District Manager. I managed a small franchise-owned beauty salon. It was the first management role I have ever taken on. I built the salon up after a low period. My staff well respected me because I was an empathetic listener and understood the needs of my staff. The district manager was anything but that. She was originally hired as a manager of a new location in our district that was set to open a month after her original hire date. She somehow convinced our franchise owners that she'd be a perfect fit for the role of district manager and was promoted quickly. At first, I did not see my district manager all that much. Remember that new location that was opening up? Well, she would tell me that she was over at that location getting things in order to be ready by the opening date. I took her word for it and managed to run my location just fine without her guidance, even though I was new to management myself. After that location was good to go, she would promise me that she would spend a day with me and my location. When that day would come around, I would get the "Oh, something came up at another location" text from her. I was starting to get a little suspicious. In the meantime, a new manager was hired at another location in our district. This woman became my mentor as she has years of experience in the industry. The district manager, as a part of her job duties, was supposed to train this new manager in her role. The district manager gave this woman the runaround too. "Oh, I'll be here today." And then later a text message of, "Something came up at another location." Little did the district manager know that we location managers were talking to one another and quickly realized that this woman is sitting at home while collecting a paycheck. Our franchise owners too quickly began to realize what this horrible district manager was doing. However, they were reluctant to fire her because they had no solid evidence of what she was doing. The district manager caught on that her job was on the line and really started to throw her weight around. She fired multiple employees at all locations who had no previous write-ups. These particular employees were ones who saw her BS and weren't afraid to stand up for themselves. She started enforcing purposeless tasks on us managers. Soon enough, turnover was high at each location. Even some long-term employees left after she started to show up more. Eventually, I had enough of putting up with her, and on a particularly rough day, I called her out on her BS. I went ahead and called the franchisors and told them everything about what she was doing. A few days later, the district manager pulls me aside and tells me that she suggests that I find another job elsewhere and that she could pull some strings. Well, I did exactly just that, and I found a new job. Without her help, of course. I gave my franchisors my notice. And on my very last day, the horrible district manager was demoted to my former position and was given a huge pay cut. The third story is called Serve Us. This happened today. I work as a waiter during the summer in a local restaurant. It's popular among tourists and not so much among local people, meaning we have to deal with a lot of different people. Most dishes are international ones, available everywhere, but some are local to our culture. Today I had a table with American tourists. They had American flags on hats and a backpack with the text Massachusetts, US, so it was obvious. They were polite at first, but then got angry when we didn't take their order fast enough. We were at full capacity. I finally managed to get to them and was met with a, "As an American, I shouldn't be waiting that much. We liberated you." Disclaimer, they didn't. I just sucked it up and asked what they would like to order. Our menu was available in English, but with transliteration and not a direct translation. They butchered everything, but that's common and I don't mind. The final item was very spicy. I would never eat it myself. I warned them, but in reply I got, "Don't you dare tell me what to eat. A minimum wage worker should just write down and serve us. God knows where you have rights." Even though he is right, I am a minimum wage worker, the audacity ticked something in me. I just placed the order and made sure the cooks kept the dish as spicy as it is in the original recipe. They still kept being angry about slow service and made some comments about me and the restaurant. I served them everything and was waiting for the screaming match. And that's what happened. They started screaming that we were trying to injure them, and the man started cussing at us. I told them that they were warned, but he kept cussing. When told to get out by my manager, they said, "We are taking you to court. See you in New York." Yeah, right. They were forced to pay and swore to never come back. The last story is called Customer Service. This happened a couple of years ago and started back in 2016. Back then, I was in early 20s something, looking to start my career. I was getting started in freelance work and not making enough to make ends meet. I started looking for part-time jobs and actually found a full-time job that was perfect for me. To give some background, this was a low-paying job, $10 per hour in a big city. But what made it great is that it was a desk job at a university. This meant I sat at the front desk of a dorm and essentially just helped students who needed to submit maintenance requests and give them temporary keys if they were locked out. So more than 90% of the time I was just sitting there and I was able to do my freelance work. It was a great job for me at the time and at that stage in my career. All was good for 2 years. But then a new director took over. This director decided that we desk people were front-facing customer service employees. The great genius director told us that we were no longer allowed to do anything not directly related to our jobs. He told us that if we were not helping a customer or responding to communications, we had to just sit there smiling at people walking through the building. To make matters even worse, he said that he and his lackeys would drop in to check on us from time to time. And he tried to scare us by hinting to us that he'd use the surveillance cameras to monitor us. None of us appreciated being treated like this. And this was way too much to ask for from people making $10 per hour in 2018. At this point, I was already on the fence about the whole thing, but I decided to try and talk to him. I explained that the lobby was empty most of the time during the day, and that I was always ready to greet people or help students out. He said, "It doesn't matter. This is a job for people who are good at customer service, and you are expected to be available the entire time you're on the clock." I told him I wasn't cut out for this work. And I am sure as heck not good at customer service if it requires me staring into the void for 6 hours a day. I quit the job on the spot. By this point I was starting to make real money with my freelance work and didn't need the job anymore. From what I heard, 3 more of the 5 total desk people quit shortly after. The one remaining was a kind older woman named Elise, who I'm pretty sure was just doing the job for fun. The director and co were unable to fully staff the desks anymore. Elise went back to reading her novels on the job, and the big shot director seemed to be unwilling to fire the last full-time employee. From what Elise told me, all the fancy salaried bigwig people, including the director, had to take turns staffing the front desk. After about a semester of this, the director's boss intervened, raised the pay for the desk job, and set the rules back to how they were before. The director mysteriously transferred jobs in the middle of the year to a lower level position. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and want to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.